So everyone, if you're here live, if you're here on the recording, no doubt you're feeling some things. And if you're here because you're willing to feel it. You're here because you're willing to, you know that feeling this, whatever you're feeling at the moment, is part of your Dharma. It's part of your journey. Whatever you feel, whatever you transcend, you do that in a way where you access the skills, the awareness, the insights necessary for you to execute your Dharma in the way that feels your heart's calling. I can say that again. No matter what you're feeling right now, whether what's surfacing is sadness or doubt or worry or shame or happiness or freedom or bliss, it's all in perfect harmony. Because feeling those emotions is holding the space for the internal 5-year-old, your internal 5-year-old that has a particular belief. That has a belief about what needs to happen out there and what needs to happen in here in order for you to feel okay or safe or loved or enough. And it just so happens, being in this amazing world we live in, that when we transcend those patterns, when we hold a loving, safe space for them, allow them to be there, we access a deeper side of ourselves. We access and condition a deeper relationship with ourselves, which in it houses the key, the nuggets, the secrets, the skills, the insight to execute your Dharma in a way that your heart feels called to. And if you're in business, you're feeling called to make a big difference. You're feeling called to share your heart in a big way, to change lives, to create impact, right? To create the awareness, to heighten the consciousness, whatever your message is, you feel pulled to do that, right? And if you are totally up for that journey, then uncertainty, doubt, worry will always come up. It's meant to. It's meant to. So this is why I have these calls, is to just hold a loving, safe space for that side of you, so you can start realizing, you can start paying attention, you can start recognizing more of those patterns that you consciously might avoid. I'm not sure if you guys have realized this or if it's just me, but I was conditioned growing up that whenever I felt bad or felt uncomfortable, I had to shift it. I had to change it, right? If I was feeling bad, or I was feeling uncomfortable, someone would come to try to make me feel better. To say, oh no, don't feel that way, feel this way instead. And you need help so that you can feel this way. And so I learned that. And so whenever I was uncomfortable, I tried to do that within myself. And what were some ways of feeling better, feeling more comfortable when I was feeling uncomfortable? Food, alcohol, distraction, the internet, TV, right? Those things that were trying to make me feel comfortable and trying to make me feel better, but in a way that was contracting, not expanding, right? In a way that was contracting, not expanding. And which is why when I, 9 or 10 months ago, when I decided to take up extended meditation in silence, and I did so for 6 hours, it was so hard to sit there and not do anything and just be there with my emotions. So hard, so challenging. But the more I just sat there, the more the fear, the uncertainty, the sadness came up, the more it felt expansive. It felt like I was breaking away sides of me. It felt like I was breaking away old patterns And that's what you will also feel right now when you sit there and you feel. You sit there and you just allow it to be there, right? And Laura says, my husband suggested back on antidepressants. Exactly. That's what the majority of the world's doing. If I feel bad, I feel like I need to be fixed, right? If I feel uncomfortable or I feel anxiety or feel stress, instead of looking at that 5-year-old that has that belief, I'm going to go medicate or distract myself or resist that side of me and push it down so that I don't have to face it, so that I don't have to feel it. Just so happens, when you feel it, you heal it. When you feel it without resistance, without judgment, you heal that side of you because you realize you're not that emotion. You're the space that that emotion holds. That's why when I was meditating, I could feel sad and have tears coming down my eyes while also feeling freedom, while also feeling peace. Because I was feeling sad, but also holding a space for it. Right? So I was feeling freedom in the fact that I was able to feel sad without resistance or judgment. So one thing you might also want to pay attention to is when you have an emotion come up, there's almost like two sides of you come up. There's an emotion that comes up, and then there's the side of you that has a judgment about that emotion. So you feel sadness or you feel uncertainty, and then there's the side of you that says you shouldn't be feeling that way. Or maybe you should be feeling that way, or maybe you can feel that way but later on. Or you feel that way now, but you felt it for 5 years and that shouldn't be. So feel it come up, hold space for that, and then also hold space for the side of you that has the judgment about it. This is why meditation's so beautiful and why extended meditation can be so expansive, is because your awareness just continues to expand, just continues to exist. Where I'm like, oh my God, I was judging that. Okay, let me hold space for that side of me that's judging that emotion. And let's hold space for everything that just comes up. That's why I was able to feel freedom while feeling sad. This is the type of awareness that I'd love to spread, and that a lot of you also have the mission to help as well, is to continue to heighten the level of consciousness, continue to create this new message to help people feel who and what they really are. Just trust me, once you do this more and more and more, the more love you feel, the more unconditional love you have for other people, the more synchronistic events start to happen, the more you'll feel your heart pull you towards something. This is what I feel is in the role of the heart-centered CEO, is where you have both of those. Let me drink my tea before it goes cold. So if you're in business right now, that would be my encouragement for you guys, is to hold both sides. For anyone who received my email and reads my emails, you saw I was talking about this in the last email I sent, or the one before. There's two sides of you. There's the side of you that has that pull, side of you that has that heart-centeredness, the side of you that has that space to transcend and to go on your spiritual journey. And then there's the CEO side of you, who recognizes, who understands the numbers, who understands the ability to grow the business in a way where you can make more money, make more of an audience and more reach, which obviously leads to more impact. And the more impact you make, the more money you make. And therefore, the more reach you get to make, therefore, the more impact. And it just cycles through. The CEO knows how to make that happen. All right, the CEO, you're in a role as the CEO, knows how to create money on demand. The heart-driven, the heart-centered CEO knows how to do that with purpose, knows how to do that with heart, knows how to do that with love, knows how to do that with the unconditional love that we want to feel, where it's heart-driven, it's heartfelt, right? And coupling those two, I find, puts you in the role that you're made to be. If you're in business and you're a light worker, or you're someone who has this pull and this desire to spread a message, I feel and you could probably feel as well in meditation or when you're journaling, that both those two roles can become in perfect harmony in a space where that is your dharma. That's how you execute your dharma in a way that your heart's pulling you towards, is to have both of those work in harmony. The heartfelt, the heart-centered side of you, while also the business building, the business side of you, right? Does anyone have any questions that come up? More than happy to answer any questions. More than happy for you guys to share what's happening, what's going on. Barbara says, this week I worked on forgiveness of myself and my mum. Powerful. Just sitting with the emotional baggage. And then I was able to let go of it. Yeah, totally. And this is the beautiful thing. When you start to feel it, you realize that it really wasn't baggage in the first place, right? It's something that's trying to come up, naturally. It's just naturally coming up so that it can be seen, so that it can be released. And what we label as baggage is like a balloon. It's not baggage, it's a balloon. It's a balloon that's just coming up so it can leave, but we're pushing that balloon down and saying, this balloon's so heavy. It's taking up so much of my energy. It's holding me back. It's this baggage, right? Who's resonating here? Maybe that should be on a t-shirt or something. It's not baggage, it's a balloon. Am I going to start my own line of t-shirts? The Barbara's saying I can see both sides of our story. That's powerful. That's true empathy, true compassion, right? Is when you can feel from both sides. You can see past their external circumstances, their external patterns, and see deep down in their internal 5-year-olds. So who resonates with that? Who realizes that their emotions, their emotional baggage is actually like a balloon, where it's coming up so it can be seen, so it can be felt, so it can be heard, understood, loved, so that it can transcend, so that it can be let go. It's doing it naturally. That's why when you sit in silence, it'll do this all by itself. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything with it. It just happens, right? And so just allowing yourself to feel it is like just allowing what it naturally does, just to leave, just to teach you the lessons, right? For you to be in a space of love, no matter what happens, no matter what you feel. Powerful, hey? Erica says, I've had it come up several times, but hasn't released yet. So people are resonating. Awesome. So here's what happens. The more you sit in meditation, the more you feel it, the more it'll start to break away. And that doesn't mean it doesn't come up time and time again, but what you'll notice is if you're feeling it without complete resistance, without judgment, so completely without resistance, without judgment, even if it continues to come up, you realize it's less loud. It's more quiet. It doesn't have that harshness to it anymore because there's no resistance to it. Right? Similar to physical pain. What's going to hurt worse when you have if you have like a jarred thumb or an injured hand and you don't think it should be hurt, or if you have the same level of physical pain, but you welcome it, just allow it to be there and think, you know what, there's some lessons here I'm meant to learn. Everything we resist persists. Everything that we resist is exaggerated. Now, this is not to say you're trying to feel them so they will leave. Let's get that one out there as well. Because if you're trying to feel it so it will leave, that's like hugging your 5-year-old so they'll go away. That's not real unconditional love, is it? But in meditation, in silence, in the quietening of your mind and heart, if you can feel it, if you can feel all these emotions and you can allow it to be there, and you can truly understand, I don't need you to leave. I'm just here to love you. I'm just here to hear you, understand you. That's true love. Just be here welcome it in and just allow yourself, be here for however long you need. I'm just here to feel you. I'm just here to hold a loving, safe space for you. I'm here to hear the core message of what you're here to deliver. And while I do that, I'm offering you just the space to do whatever you feel you need to. Maybe that is exaggeration. Maybe that is to stay for a bit longer. Maybe that is to transcend straight away. Who cares? That's not the point. The point is you're just completely releasing control and just surrendering to whatever happens. What you find is if you can do that in here, you can do it out there. If you can do that for yourself with your own emotional patterns coming up, you can do it for anything that happens out there in your relationships, in life, in business. You can just completely surrender, completely just be in a space of allowing. And that's where your true power is. That's when you start to feel, oh, okay, everything that's happening is for me. And you feel it. It's not just an intellectual knowledge or intellectual thought or belief. It's like you feel it. It's like everything that happens is happening for me. Everything that happens is happening for a reason. Right? Every single thing, whether it's what my ego thinks it should happen or not. Because when you have something that your ego thinks shouldn't happen, for example, a few weeks ago when my computer crashed when I was halfway through this call, I wish you could feel what I felt. As soon as it happened, I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder why that's happening. I wonder how this is happening for me. What is this here to teach me? What lessons am I meant to learn here? Did I have expectations about this call? Right? Did I have predetermined expectations about the outcome that I'm here to learn? Now, that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes my ego just goes, something happens and I'm like, why the F did that happen? Right? Or I'll wake up one morning and I'll be like, why the hell am I feeling this? And then it just takes meditation, takes some time for me to separate, for me to feel, for me to get back into the state of love. And where I'm just in the space of, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Things are happening for me. Everything's happening for me. Even if my mind can't see why, my heart's guiding me to something bigger. What's Laura saying? Laura, I've been allowing this anger and didn't know existed come up. And as I sit with it, evolves into other emotions. Yeah. And often ends in grief and crying. Beautiful. What is crying? Crying is a release. I say a little prayer of asking and giving forgiveness, and I feel release. Beautiful. You're truly being the example, right? Truly being the example. When you cry, when you have this release, that's exactly what it is. It's just a release. It's just that 5-year-old coming out through your eyes. That's why we love going to sad movies. Does anyone realize this? We love going to watch sad movies or listen to sad music. Why? Because at some level, it's a release for us. It's a release that we're giving ourselves permission to feel that we didn't give ourselves permission to in our everyday life. But it's a release of something that had to be seen, had to be felt, had to be heard, had to be understood. We love feeling sad, right? And truthfully, a part of us loves feeling angry. That's why we do it. A lot of people get frustrated that others watch the news, and that when they watch the news, they just get angry and they just get frustrated. But then they go back to watching the news, and someone observing that situation, someone observing that person's like, what the hell are they doing? They're addicted to getting angry. They're addicted to getting frustrated. Exactly. It's meeting certain needs because we love feeling that way if it doesn't have any resistance, right? But where it has resistance, like for example, we love feeling sad. Go watch the Titanic. Everyone loves that movie. You go through this roller coaster of emotions, and then at the end you feel so sad, and for some reason it's just so beautiful. We love feeling sad when there's no resistance. What happens when there is resistance? What happens when you feel sad and you think you shouldn't? That's what leads, I find, to depression, to this overcoming of anxiety. When we have these emotions and we think we shouldn't, when we have these emotions and we think we should be feeling something different, or we think we need to be fixed, that's when we feel out of control. And the more out of control you feel, the more it just builds in momentum. And what Laura's doing is completely feeling, allowing that anger or sadness or grief to do whatever it needs to, and just be the observer of it. Feel it in your body, be present for it, be expansive for it, and then feel release on the other side. So she says, more and more is coming up, and I see the things that I didn't want to acknowledge. So a part of me celebrates as the truth is revealed. Yeah. Think about this. That was in you anyway. What's coming up in the form of uncomfortable emotions is in you anyway. It's running your decisions, your actions, your moods, your results, whether you know it or not. And it's coming up. It's coming up. It's finally coming up for you to be seen, to be released. So it doesn't have to run your decisions, moods, actions, results anymore. I feel like we're just following Laura's journey now. I just heard my 5-year-old is pissed that the rules she was taught do not apply. Yeah. So many of the things we learned as a child just simply don't apply, simply just not true. But it's what we build our identity around, which is why it hurts, right? We built our beliefs around this is the way things should be. This is the way I need to be. This is my identity. And so when we realize that that's not actually true, it's painful. It's painful. It's the ego breaking away. Our ego brings up these emotions because it's saying, I can't face the fact that I'm wrong. If this isn't true, then what is? That's totally separating yourself from certainty, the certainty of knowing. But what Laura's doing is just holding a loving, safe space for it. And what you're all doing, holding a loving, safe space for it, allowing for the uncertainty, allowing for the unknown. Especially if you're in business. This is what I love coaching on, is what I'm excited about the beta program for, is because people can develop both sides. You can develop, for example, a 90-day goal, a 90-day growth goal for your business, for your audience, for increase of your audience, increasing engagement, increase in income and clients. You can organize that goal. You can set the steps, right, in order to achieve it. And you can have the mindset like, I am completely committed to this. right? Completely committed. And I guarantee if you're committed to it, you will achieve it, right? While also holding a space to whatever happens is meant to happen. To truly, even if no matter what happens, I'm still the same. I'm still endless possibility, right? Who and what I am is still divine, is still spirit. This is what I find are the traits of those, the heart-centered business owner, the heart-centered CEO that you're feeling pulled to become, is holding space for both of them, right? For all those who are doing business programs and courses, you know, the more income you make, the more reach you get, the more reach you get, the more impact you make, and therefore the more income you make. And it just goes round, and you can develop that system. You can develop that system and that cycle of just more income, more reach, more impact. And then you can do that in a way that is on demand. Then you can apply your heart to that. You can apply your heart in a way where you do everything in that system that feels aligned, that feels a calling, that feels expansive for you, right? That's the beauty, where you can have the steps, right? So you follow the steps, you get the outcome, but then also hold space for the side of you that is a pull that says, actually do this that feels expansive, even if this doesn't know why, right? We all know that. We all know that. We all know that the sides of us that feel expansive, that say, invest in this program, that say, just go out and take the walk to this place, that say, just meet this person. And you don't know why. Your mind doesn't know why. Your mind's trying to figure it out. Your mind's trying to make logic steps of it. But your heart just is pulling you that way. And therefore, when you do those actions, when you have the courage to follow through, your heart will reveal why. And it will be bigger than anything your mind could have comprehended, right? So beautiful. And that's why I find holding space for both those things is what's in a lot of people's expansion. And you'll be able to feel that yourself. When you hold the loving, safe space for these sides of you, when you hold the loving, safe space for these energies, for these emotions, for these 5-year-olds, you'll feel there's expansion in both. Becoming the CEO, so you understand the numbers, you understand how to grow and build the business, and also your heart, so you can do that in an aligned way. Does that feel expansive? I was talking about this yesterday, I believe, because I've been getting on a lot of calls. I've been doing some calls to see who's aligned with the beta program. I've already got 3 people who are in, which is awesome. I've only got on a handful of calls. But what we've been really discussing and talking about is, if you're aligned with that, is if you were to have a message that resonates with your audience, a message that says, well, when they read it or hear it, they say, that's for me. That's me. This is made for me, right? That message coupled with an irresistible offer where you're already offering what they want. They already want it. They're already asking for it. You're just giving it to them. You're offering it to them. That's 90% of business, isn't it? Your messaging and your offer. Your messaging and your offer is 90% of the business side of things. Now, what happens when you add your heart? What happens when you add your soul, your spirit, this calling with that message and with that offer, where you're delivering them in a way that feels so expansive for you? How aligned will that feel? Where you're growing your business in an expansive way, where you're attracting the people that you feel called, that your heart feels called to serve, and then you serve them with an offer and a program that is just so aligned. It's so expansive. It feels so good. It just feels like this is what I'm here to do. That's what I think is the next level. That's what I find. A lot of people are either stuck in one or the other. Some people are either in the spiritual realm, in their heart, in meditating, and because the realms can feel so good, right? Christina Kaufman was on my podcast. She talked about this, where a lot of light workers, meditators, spiritual healers, energy healers can spend a lot of their time in the higher realms of meditation because it feels so blissful. But then they start to realize, actually, this bliss is leading me to a mission here and now, on this planet, on this earth, to execute my Dharma in a way that impacts people. That's why it feels so good to impact. But you have to overcome the emotional journey, the uncertainty, right? The variety of that journey. Who's here with me? Is this all resonating, guys? Feel free to type in yes if this is resonating. I'd love to know. Laura's in. Tracy's in. Barbara, yes. Erica, yes. Beautiful. Kimberly, love the responses, guys. Awesome. And this is my shift as well, right? This is completely my shift as well. I find, the more it's beautiful that I've been able to get a lot of people interested in the beta program. So I've had 39 people so far fill out the survey, and so each morning I've been scheduling calls. This week I started with the calls. So this week and next week I've really booked out with a lot of the calls, getting on calls with those people and seeing who's the right fit. Like you guys know, I'm going to take on about 12 people in that program. And so I'm organizing the calls to see who's the right fit. And as people sign up and as people show interest and as all that's happening, I'm going through this through my own stuff, because 3 people are in already and I'm like, man, that's exciting. I feel called to serve. And some people have already booked in one-on-one sessions with me. And then I'll meditate on that. And I'll be asking, how can I serve? How can I serve? How can I create this program where it's just such a pull from here, where they're expanding, where I can add more value here and just do it in such creative ways I've never seen before. And then I'll wake up the next day and have this fear, right? Or something happens or things and I get triggered. And I have this anxiety and this fear, like, what if you can't do that? What if your audience thinks this way? What if they think this about you? And all this comes up. And this is what you'll find as well. The more bliss, the more you're following through on your Dharma, the more you can anticipate that will come up. Because it's just the 5-year-olds within me that haven't been seen yet, haven't been loved unconditionally yet. And what I came up with in meditation yesterday was when I was a kid, when I was a child in primary school, I was really good at gymnastics. Do I look like a gymnast? Probably not. But I was really good at gymnastics. And we had this program in school where at the end of the day, at the end of the year, we'd put on this performance. And, there was about 20 kids would just put on a performance for the parents where we'd all do flips and handstands and performances and stuff like that. And I was always the best. There was like me and this one other kid who could do, like, everyone was doing like star jumps and stuff like that. And I was doing like backflips and, a lot of crazy stuff, for a 11 or 12-year-old to be doing, flips and 180s and backflips and back handsprings and all those things. And I attached a lot of identity around that. And Therefore, when I was growing up as a kid, if someone had something I didn't have, or someone was better than me at something, I felt triggered and I felt like I needed to defend myself. Like, no, I'm better than that. And I'm better than you at that. And if I had that time, I could do that as well, or whatever, right? That 5-year-old's still coming up in me. Still coming up in me. And so I talk to a lot of business owners, and I'm sure you can see how much passion and heart I talk to you guys with, because every single time I get on a call or one of these calls, I just have a silent blessing that says, just providing so much love. But the more I follow my Dharma, the more I'm executing and, getting excited and passionate about this beta program that I'm putting together, the more that 5-year-old's coming up, that competitive side of me, right? So people are signing up, and then I talk to someone who's also got this awesome program that's obviously 10 steps further than I am. And I feel this 5-year-old coming up, this 5-year-old that was good at gymnastics, that said, I need to be the best. And it's crazy. I think about back on it now. I have a twin brother who was better than me at everything. We played basketball our whole lives. He's always been a better basketballer. He's always been more athletic. I was better at gymnastics, but he's always been better at sports, and he's always been bigger and stronger and everything like that. Everyone could remember us because I was Tiny Tyson. He was Big Brody. He's always had like 10 kilos on me. And so it's crazy when I think about it, but I just have that side of me come up. And so last night I was just sitting there and just holding the space for this 5-year-old who was good at gymnastics, who was just felt like I need to perform, or need to be better than anyone else, or everything like that. It doesn't come up often, but it was coming up more and more the more I execute on my Dharma of this beta program that I'm excited about. Why is that? And you can ask that within yourself as well. Why is it that when we actually take action on what our heart's pulling us towards, that these 5-year-olds come up more and more? Why is that? Let me turn this heater off. Isn't that fascinating? One way to not feel those 5-year-olds, not feel that uncertainty, I can guarantee you, don't execute your Dharma. Because when you follow your heart, it will be uncertain. It will be. Right? When you take the steps, when you launch that program, when you put out that post that's polarizing, when you share your heart on a live, Facebook Live, these things will come up. I think they come up in perfect harmony, and they come up in tandem, right? You can't have one without the other. You really can't. The more you execute your Dharma, the more this will come up. Why is that? Because when you execute your Dharma, when you follow your heart's calling, despite how scary it is, you open up a safe space. You open up a larger safe space. It's like life is saying, okay, you get it. You follow your heart with courage. You follow your heart with trust. And at some level, while you do that, you open a safe space for the world to give you what you need and to help you learn the lessons you're meant to learn. One of those lessons is to feel this 5-year-old. You're in a 5-year-old that loves gymnastics. You're in a 5-year-old that felt like, I need to perform, need to achieve, need to have this thing happen for me to feel enough. That won't come up if you don't execute on your heart's calling. Guarantee it. Some things will come up, but it'll be coming up because you've contracted so much, not expanding. When you expand in a way that is aligned, in a way that is scary, you also expand a side of yourself. You expand your spirit. And that's when you open the safety for these 5-year-olds to come up. It's like the 5-year-old in the park. If a 5-year-old's lost in the park and they come to you, it's because at some level you have the energy of safety. You have the energy of safety. I believe it's because when you execute on your Dharma, when you take that leap, whether it be from judgment, like if you take this leap to release something where you have a fear of judgment, or you invest in a program or a coach, or you buy a course, or you go out and you meet someone on a date, right? It's almost like you're doing that, you're taking the steps necessary, because at the same time, you're okay with feeling that 5-year-old. You finally say, okay, I'm going to put out this post because I'm okay with the judgment. You know what? I'm putting myself out there. I'm going to go date because I'm okay with whatever happens. So that side will come up. That side will come up. A lot of you know my story of when I invested 12 grand in a coaching program. And what had to happen was, this was last year I was in the program. The program was 12 grand. I had 8 grand in the bank. So what I decided to do was, instead of making a decision based on my current circumstances, instead of making a decision based on how much money I have now, I made a decision based on who I want to be and who I know I am. So I invested 2 grand. I put that in down as a deposit. And the next month I had to make my first 10 grand month in order to get into the program, in order to make it work financially. And a lot of you know my story. I ended up doing that. And that's what I think happened. I think when I made the decision to put down 2 grand, I realized if I make my decisions based on my current circumstances, I'll always achieve what I've always gotten. Why is that? Because what I have in my current circumstance right now, in terms of my resources, in terms of the clients, in terms of my finances, are the result of who I was being, right? In terms of who I was being. So if I make decisions based on this, I'll continue to achieve what I've always gotten, because what the side of me, the decisions I made had led to this. But what I decided to do was, who do I want to be? Who do I know I am? And the answer was unlimited possibility. I'm connected to source. My connection to source is my priority. And so when I made that decision to invest the 2 grand, it's like universe says, okay, you get it. Okay, you get it. You're following your heart because it feels expansive. And you're following your heart because it feels the right thing to do. And you're taking that courage. And so the next month, through random circumstances, through crazy things, I ended up making my first ever 10 grand month. Had, a few clients sign up that were just so beautiful. They were just perfect in harmony and in alignment. And it was just me off to the races. It was just me figuring out who and what I am from here. And so that's really what I make my decisions from now. It's like I make my decisions based on who I want to be, what I want to achieve, the impact I want to make, and what would I do if I realized I was safe no matter what, if I realized my success is inevitable no matter what. And it would just be follow my heart. And I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, and also got crazy high-level opportunities I had no clue was possible. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. That's what I'd encourage you guys to do as well. And you can feel that. You don't have to believe this or trust me. You can feel it within yourself. You can feel what feels expansive. I don't know what's in your heart. I don't know what your heart's pulling you towards specifically, but you can. When you sit down and you feel these sides of you, you can feel that. So who's aligned with that? Who's aligned with making their decisions based on their heart, not based on what they see externally? And deeply know and trust that whatever happens is meant to happen, that you're being guided, you're being led, you're being pulled towards something bigger. Is everyone in? Everyone's in, it seems. If not, that's in perfect harmony as well. Life is about creating our own epic adventure. Exactly. Beautiful. Awesome stuff, guys. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Happy to answer anything that comes up for you guys. I think I'm going to lose my voice by the end of the day for sure. Got a lot of calls to get on, a lot of beautiful people to talk to. Just as your encouragement is important to a world that is learning how to live this way more consistently. Well done. Thank you. Authenticity is what's epic. Totally. And this is where we can build our businesses from, right? You can create your messaging, your marketing, your business strategy. You're completely in alignment with your authenticity, right? Completely in alignment with what feels here. You can make your business decisions from here in a way that feel expansive, and then couple that with the strategies, right? This is what I find is in a lot of people's expansion. And for those of you who are jumping in the beta program, look forward to going through that with you. It's going to be very expansive. Looking forward to seeing the case studies and success stories at the end. It's going to be big. Take such guts to do so. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I think that's everything, guys. Feel free to have an amazing rest of your week. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. A lot of you have calls booked with me, which is beautiful. I'll look forward to talking to you all. And I think after this call, just take some time to just breathe, feel whatever's coming up, and also feel what feels expansive. What is your heart calling you towards? What is your heart pulling you towards? Something that's scary, something that feels expansive but scary. That's how you know it's your heart. If it feels like something you want to do, but your mind can see the outcome, it's generally not your heart, right? Because your mind can't see what your heart's leading you towards. Your heart is just guiding you to one next step. It's just one step, right? It's just one next step, like the GPS in your car, just giving you one direction at a time. And so feel that. Out of your meditation, feel that. Feel what feels expansive. Feel what feels a pull. Feel what feels scary, because your mind doesn't know why. Your mind doesn't know the how. You build a business from that place, making those decisions with that much courage, that much authenticity. That is where people will follow you. Like a lot of people, I'll end with this. A lot of people want to grow an audience, right? Want to grow more people in their groups or more following on Instagram or whatever it may be, or grow a community like I have as well. Here's one thing. It's not about it's not about the way you message. It's not about the platform that you're on. If you want more of an audience, it's be more audience worthy, right? It's not just about your content or the platform, right? It's about who are you showing up as that's worth following. If you have your heart on edge, if you're living on your edge, if you're doing what I did and invested 12 grand, right, to jump into calls when I didn't have the money, who wouldn't want to follow that, right? Who wouldn't want to do that? A lot of you are in the group and jumping on the collaborative calls because that's worth following, because the people in there are worth investing in. The people in there are doing such beautiful things. It doesn't matter whether that was on YouTube or if that group was on Instagram or whatever. It just so happens we do them on Zoom, but people show up on that platform, not because of Zoom, but because of the people in there, right? And a lot of you follow me and jump on this call because of who I am, right? And you can too. Think about, not about how to grow your following, think about who do I need to become so people will want to follow, right? That's just one thing I thought I'd end on. This is because it's something we're also going to go deep in on the beta course. Is just who do you need to be so no matter what platform you choose, where your audience is, they're going to want to follow, right? And it comes down to this. It comes down to you living authentically from your heart, from a place that is vulnerable, polarizing, whatever it may be, whatever is your calling. So I thought I'd leave that with you guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your week. We'll definitely be in touch. For those of you who have calls organized with me, I look forward to it. It's going to be beautiful. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions, guys. Always love interacting with you guys. Always love the getting to know you and what you're all about, what you're doing next. So thanks so much for showing up live and doing the work and being an example. You guys are totally being the example of what's possible and the best way to go about it in a heartfelt way. So thanks so much, guys. Have a good rest of your week. We'll talk soon, okay? Take care.